Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In today's video, I'm putting together my Project Life spread for July 20th through July 26th, 2026, and I'm working with the July Stories by the Month kit from Ali Edwards. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so this is the week of July 20th through 26th, and I'm going to use the July Stories by the Month kit. So I'm also going to do my ephemera insert. So this week is the second to last week in the month, and I usually do my Stories by the Month for the last week, but I didn't want to do that because that week I'm going to Stationery Fest. So I wanted to do something different for that spread. This spread was more of a typical week. We did have a few things happening, the main one being that we got our bathroom, we started the work on our bathroom redo. So we got the paneling put in. So I didn't print a before photo for this spread because, you know, that's kind of just what my bathroom looked like for the past 5 years or whatever. But I did print a in progress, and then when it was done, which it's obviously not done, I do have one 4x6 photo here. I'm thinking maybe I'll put this bathroom stuff right here. And then we also celebrated Pumpkin's birthday. And I got a new planner. I went to the eye doctor. Lots of just little things. So I think that's a good kind of starting place. Then let me grab my kit. So I have a ton of ephemera because I went to Stationery Fest, so I have a lot of ephemera from that trip. And it's not all going to go in the spread, but I just have a lot here for options. So let's see, what do we have for this kit? And then I have all my embellishments, which I have been, for working with these kits, putting them in this tray here. And it's been super nice to be able to like actually see all of the supplies laid out, because the die cuts, we've got a lot of different shapes, and then we've got some chipboard ones that go with that. We've got some stars here, and these are chipboard, and these are die cuts, and these are also die cuts, and then these guys are chipboard that match kind of this one. So there we go. And we also have these star stickers and our cards here. So I'm going to start with the cards. I haven't been using these ones. I've been saving those. So I'm going to put that to the side. I have been using these as my title cards, so I definitely want that. And then I don't think I want another 4x6, but I'm just going to look just to see if there's anything I want. This one has the year on it, so I need to remember to use that. And there's a few here that have a set that go together, which has been really common this year. But these, I feel like they should be cut out. So I'm probably gonna use those for some other spread, because I don't think I wanna use them here. But if I was gonna use these in Project Life, I would cut them out and put them maybe on 4x6 photos, because they're a little big for 3x4. Although you could put it that, maybe I'll actually use those for Stationery Fest for the next week. But anyways, let's move on. So we've got our 3x4 cards. We've got a bunch of vellum options. And then we have, maybe I'll use that or something. And then we have our journaling cards. So these ones go together, so I might use those. This one is super cute, but I mean, I guess I could do it for his birthday. These ones kind of go together. These ones like this, I've been putting in my stories album, so I'm not going to use those. I'm going to put those to the side and then think about what I need. So I do need some journaling cards. So I probably either want to use this set or this set. And I think I'm going to do this set, so I can do one here about the bathroom, and then one just about this week, and one about Pumpkin's birthday. And I think I'm gonna put this here and this for that, and then I need something else here. So maybe this one. We'll see what else we have though, because we also have all of these things. So I'm thinking I could use those. I'm not sure I like this one here. I also am not a huge fan of this one either. So let's see, what else do we have? Go on another card. And so this is the packaging. And I think I'm gonna make a card out of that to be right here, because I think that would actually look really cute and go. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out and make a card. And then I'm thinking maybe one of these guys on there, so. I don't like those colors. It's this one. And then this one, I'm gonna need something behind it. Maybe I'll do that. I could just put white behind it, but I feel like that just adds a little something else. Okay. So I think I'm gonna put some maybe washi behind these, and maybe I'll do something else. I have all these stars, so I might do something else with the stars. I also have some die cut stars that I could use on some of these photos. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys on voiceover and get the rest of the spread put together.
So one of the first things I usually do is my title card, and I felt like the spread just looked a little boring on the left. And I don't know if it's just because I didn't have a lot of photos this week, or they were all photos of pumpkin, which is super cute, but not that exciting. Yeah, actually pumpkins in like every single photo except for the 2 bathroom ones and my planner photo. But you know, that's real life. Real life is not always super exciting, but I like it and I'm happy to be documenting it. But anyways, my point was I wanted to kind of jazz up this side and make it a little more exciting. So I decided to adhere these 3 larger star die cuts on top of this title card. I've been using these title cards from the Stories by the Month kit every time this year that I'm working with this kit, so once per month. And some months I've left them blank and just put the dates on it, and other months I have decided to embellish them a little bit. So it's totally up to you if you want to spend the extra time to embellish it. It looks perfectly fine as is without embellishments, but I just wanted a little bit something else. So I also decided to take this over to my sewing machine and stitch these down just using white thread. This is one of my favorite ways to add texture in my projects. And once I do it on one card, I'm going to want to do it on multiple cards. So you'll see I'm doing this a few times throughout this spread. What I do to stitch things down on paper, because it's a little bit different than stitching with a sewing machine on fabric, is I don't do any like backward stitching or anything at the beginning. Instead, what I do is I just pull the threads through the back after I'm done stitching and just tape them down with Scotch tape on the back. Of course, if you want the back to also look nice, you have to get creative with how you do this. But for something like this that's going in a pocket, I don't care what the back looks like. Now I need to add the dates. So I'm just getting my black Stays On ink and my rolling date stamp. And I'm just gonna go ahead and add the dates on here on the bottom of the card. And I decided that this was still not quite as embellished as I wanted it to be. I think it actually looks great as is, but I decided that I wanted to use some of the star stickers to add a little bit more to this. So I'm just adding some of the smaller star stickers throughout the card around the larger stars just to add a little bit more fun to this card, and I really love how this came out. You'll see that I end up using a lot of these stars across the entire spread, and I like that continuity across the spread to really tie everything together. Now I'm moving on to this photo, and I wanted to add something else behind these chipboard pieces. So I pulled over this washi tape. I believe this is from Cocoa Daisy. It is just a small green grid, and the green coordinated really well with this kit, and it's just a great basic that I use very frequently in my projects. So I grabbed that to add a little bit behind that chipboard, and I think I'm going to do that on all of the photos that have that same kind of chipboard piece. I decided to take this card over to my sewing machine again and stitch the vellum piece on top of that decorative card. That card was one of the filler cards in the kit, and it was like confetti and I think, or maybe like fireworks or something. And it was super pretty and nice for, I think, for 4th of July. Of course, you could use it for anything else. I'm not using it for the 4th of July, but it was a little bit dark for me being black. So layering the vellum on top of it, I thought was a really great way to kind of mute it, but still use that fun pattern. I'm moving on across the spread and kind of shifting between each card and photo and getting the left-hand side kind of put together. That photo of Pumpkin in front of the window actually was a vertical photo that I had taken to share in Instagram stories, and I cropped it to horizontal for this spread because I needed something in a 4x6 pocket, and that felt like the best one to do. The photo of my living room in the bottom right, I'm not sure if you can tell on video, but Pumpkin is right in the center sitting on the couch, and I had considered cropping that one to horizontal, but I liked that you could see most of our living room because we have changed our furniture out over the years, and we actually have some newer furniture more recently, and so I like getting that snapshot of what the living room looks like right now. And that's something I wish I had from when I was a kid. I have so few photos of my house, the inside of my house. Like there's some photos of people like in the house, but you're never taking photos of the house itself. And I really wish I had those photos of my childhood home. My parents don't live there anymore. And it would be nice, to see that. So I'm really happy to capture those because I won't live here forever. And even if I do live here for a very long time, things will change. I'm moving on to the right-hand side. You saw me do some journaling on that first journaling card in the top right. That's about our bathroom redo. And so I have those two photos of the bathroom. I have the in progress photo, and then I have the after photo. This is not the end of the project. We still have wallpaper to do, a new mirror, and some painting. But this was just what the carpenter came in to do. And I've been sharing this progress over on Instagram if you are interested. I do have a stories highlight about it, so you can see all of the in progress photos of this entire project and a little bit more about it over there. This photo is of me and Pumpkin in the car for his birthday. We decided that we would take him. He doesn't go in the car that often, and he used to when he was littler, and I wanted to kind of get back in the habit of that. So what we did was we ordered some stuff from Walmart, like the car side, like pickup for him. So we ordered some cat treats and a new toy, and then we took him and then they brought it to the car, and it was super exciting for him. He was a little confused, but when he saw it was a bag of cat treats and he got to eat a bunch of cat treats on the way home, he was so thrilled. So that's how we celebrated his birthday this year, and then gave him a can of cat food. He has wet food not super often. He does a lot of table scraps and dry food, but he loves to eat. It's his favorite thing. So giving him some wet food was a great way to kind of like celebrate. And yeah, I don't know, he gets a little too excited and eats too much. So we try to kind of limit that. But for his birthday, I wanted to celebrate him. And you'll see I have another card where I'm going to do some journaling about that in a little bit. I decided to stitch these stars onto these two photos where I added the star. And I pulled over some white word phrase strips from my stash just to layer something on top of it. And then I'm moving on to this journaling card. This is where I'm going to add in some stamping because I wanted to tell the story of Pumpkin's birthday, but I didn't really have enough to write to fill this entire card. So when I have that situation come up, what I do is I tend to add some stamping and add a larger title because it fills up some of the space And when you're flipping through the album or just glancing at the spread, your eyes will automatically read those larger words. And that way you can kind of get the gist of what the card is going to be about and whether or not you want to read it. So I'm stamping out Pumpkin is 12. This stamp set is from Ali Edwards. I believe this was from the travel collection from this year. It's fairly new. I'm not sure if they're still in stock, but I love it. It's going to be one of my go-to favorites because it's a great size for stamping in project life like this. Then I'm doing my journaling, basically what I just talked about. But him being 12, I feel like he's starting to get old, and like we can definitely see him acting older about certain things, and it's making me so sad because he's my baby. I've had him since he was a little kitten, since he was, I think, 8 weeks old, 9 weeks old, something like that. So yeah. I didn't journal all the way to the bottom, so I added a little star sticker to fill in that bottom piece. And after I did that, I kind of wished I hadn't filled so much on that other journaling card so that I could have done the same thing, but it was what it was. That was the space I needed. I'm going ahead and slipping some cards into the pockets that are ones that I know I'm done with, because I feel like that makes it just easier on my desk to like slide things around. And then that photo in the top right of the bathroom, I was considering adding an embellishment on it because it looks so like boring and plain white because the bathroom's not yet done. But I ultimately decided against it because the chipboard pieces were really large and I didn't really want to cover up the bathroom because I wanted you to be able to see the in progress photo of what the bathroom looks like now. Then I'm going to go ahead and slip things into the pocket on this side, and then I have one more journaling card to do. I tend to space out doing my journaling while working on a spread because it's honestly my least favorite part. And my hand gets tired from writing. So I like to give it breaks because when my hand is tired, I tend to write less because I just want to finish it up. And so this way I'm able to kind of do one card and then rest a little bit. For this card here, I'm doing my bullet point list of little micro stories from the week, and I have these star stickers from this kit, so I decided those would be great to make my bullet points. Sometimes I just use a dot marker or even just my pen to make bullet points, but when there's something fun like this in the kit, or sometimes I'll pull something from my stash, it works really well, and this way it's kind of tied together with some of the other cards in the kit. Doing a bullet point list in an oval shape was a little bit different, but it definitely works, and I'm happy that I did it and was able to use these coordinating cards across the spread. I'm looking off camera at my take a note, which has my notes from the day of kind of what happened each day. And that's where I'm pulling ideas from of what micro stories I want to document in here. I get a lot of questions about why I keep those stories in my take a note in addition to here. And the take a note is really kind of like my catch all of like, this is what happened. And I don't skip details there. And then that gives me more flexibility when I'm doing things like Project Life or other projects where I don't have to include every single story that ever happened because I know it's in my take a note. I know that's partially my brain and the way that I think, and I have a lot of compulsive kind of behaviors where I'm just like, I need everything documented. So it gives me that kind of flexibility to work within my limitations. Okay, now we're going to move on to my ephemera page. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I have so much ephemera for July. This time I end up filling both the front and the back of this pocket page. If you're curious about this pocket page, this is a 6x8 page protector with 2x2 pockets. And Ali Edwards sells these as well as scrapbook.com. And I just insert this into my Project Life album. I have one per month, and I set these up at the beginning of the year in my 2026 Project Life setup video, and I will link that in the description box below if you are interested in learning more about this. I'm going through my ephemera and just cropping things down and deciding what I want to include in the pockets. A lot of these things were from my trip to New York City for Stationery Fest, which happened July 30th, 31st, and August 1st. But I'm putting all of that ephemera kind of in July, I think, because it was mostly in July. So I have a lot of business cards, and of course these were crafty brands, so their business cards are adorable. And so I'm just cropping them down to 2x2 squares. And for some of those business cards, I'm not going to put anything on the back because they were pretty on both sides, and that way you can see the information on both sides. I also have some stamps, so like that Stationery Fest workshop stamp. I took a small traveler's notebook with me. And I use that to just fill it with stamps while I was traveling. And I'm going to do something similar when I go to Japan later this year. And that way I can just cut all of those stamps out. I know some people do that and kind of leave them in that traveler's notebook as like a collection of stories from that trip. But for me, I like to be able to cut them out so that I can include them in my other projects like this. And I don't want to have to think about that while I'm on the road. I just want to be able to grab the stamp and move on. I cut that Stationery Fest logo out of their like the program or plan, like the little like flyer that you got when you first came in. And then the Strand Books, I went to Strand Books, which I've been to many times because I used to live right by there. But I took my two friends that had never been, and I bought myself a Strand Books mug because I don't have one for some crazy reason. And so that Strand logo was on the box. And so I cropped it out. And then because it was round, I added it on top of one of the vellum pieces from the kit using the Stories by the Month kit in the same month or same week that I do my ephemera pocket every month. This year has been a great way to consistently make these pockets kind of coordinate because I am pulling products from that kit as needed to fill these pockets. This month I didn't really need much because, like I said, I had so much ephemera. I added a Trader Joe's sticker on the back of that one there. And then I'm just going through everything else and trying to decide what I want to include. These were free postcards from a shop that we went to in Brooklyn. And so I'm just cropping one down and I'm going to slip it into these 3 pockets. I considered doing the full 4x6 card and kind of cropping it to fit into 6 pockets, but I just had so many products I didn't want to overfill, or I didn't want to use so many pockets on one thing. I had that What's More with Love bag, which I considered cropping down, but it was so big I ended up not using it. And a lot of these pieces I'm going to end up using in my actual spread for the next week. So you can see here, I'm pulling things that are from Stationery Fast and sticking them into this like divided, or not divided, but it's just like page protector. And I'm just going to slip that in my Project Life album until I work on the next week's spread, which included the trip to Stationery Fast, because all of those products I will have them to pull from when I create that spread. And I will obviously share a process video for that here when I get to it. I moved that off of my desk, and then I think I'm going to pull everything else back out so you can kind of see. I also had this LL Bean all-weather furniture thing and this box from my new Ferris wheel press pen, and I considered putting them. I really thought about doing the LL Bean one and decided against it. But then last minute, I added these last 2 die cut stars on top of the piece there that I put the Isekai sticker just to add something else a little bit fun. And here's a look at that completed spread. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.